you mentioned total stations, and I was very curious to hear what is that about. What is a total station?
Total station. I think
I've
maybe,
never heard of
I don't
it.
know if the correct word is a surveying station.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's it called? A machine. It's a piece of kit that all the surveyors use to place like a wall, a concrete wall within millimeter accuracy. And we have these simple ones that the construction team can use. So when the actual surveyor, they put up some kind of retro tape or cat eyes, and then the workers, they can just in the morning take out their surveying station, put it up, and it'll measure itself in from all the tapes around, like the known marks, and the station will know where it is located. And then they can start putting out lines for walls, or if they have already placed a wall up, they can mark out where is the window going to be. So they don't have to measure from a line with a centimeter measurement like before, and that makes it more accurate and also makes their work faster. We're also working with one of these surveying stations that can use a 3D model.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Inventing Construction. My name is Elia. In today's episode, we have Casper. He will talk about all the work that they do in their department, focus mainly in innovation initiatives applied to the not only to the office but also to the site. We will go through multiple examples of these applied case studies and a very insightful explanation of how to use AI properly to actually achieve all these solutions that are benefiting and making the entire construction processes much more efficient. Hello, Casper. It's a pleasure to have you here today. I think for the sake of everybody listening in today's episode, I would like you to introduce yourself, who you are, how you've managed to do and to have such a fun day as you do right now.
Well, thank you for having me. My name is Casper Hertz Nielsen. I work at NCC Denmark, and I work right now as a process and innovation manager, so head of the department that manages process optimization and innovation projects in NCC infrastructure. There's also a building department. We are in the infrastructure department. The journey started long ago. I was an intern in NCC and I became a production manager. And in 2017, we had a project where we started using drones because they had become very cheap. So we could...
more accessible.
They were more accessible, yeah. And we could explore what we could use the technology for. So we got one of those. And then we, of course, modeled the whole construction site in 3D to do logistics. And after the success of that project, our, what's it called in English, our director, CEO of the infrastructure department, he asked if would you like to do this full time? And he didn't know what it should be called or what I should do, but it should be something like we had done on that project. So I had to do some kind of write-up and what the job description would be. And we came to an agreement and we started the process and innovation department in 2017. And we are now grown to 6 people. We have 6 people in the team now. And we do all kinds of stuff. Our finest objective is to help the people on the construction site. So if they have issues, we find smart ways of dealing with those issues. That's the main objective.
To listen at their problems and you are finding a solution for them. That so far seems successful because you guys are growing and growing. Yeah. I hear that the entire idea came from playing. You guys found a new toy and you started exploring it and actually tried to apply that to the work in hand. And I would say that's actually the start or the spark of every innovation idea that is going on today. You really need to, it's not just buying new software or buying something and just work with that. It's trying to apply that to your line of work to innovate. You guys are really leading, seeking opportunity on all these new solutions that are coming out there. Just to say, NCC is a contractor. And they have, of course, infrastructure projects, as you were saying. I hear that actually this innovative solution was not was not something that was happening in the office. You guys were not playing with the computers alone. You actually brought this solution to the site. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
It all starts with the construction site.
Okay.
If you are just sitting in the office, you get bad ideas.
Disconnected from the actual issues.
Yeah. You need to go on the construction site where the real work is happening and the people have real issues. And then you can try and see, okay, this could be done smarter or easier. And we try to find solutions that could scale as well, because we don't want technologies that, like drones, when they cost 500 to 1,000 kroner for one drone, that was a no-go because it couldn't scale. So we need to find solutions and technologies that are cheap enough, available enough, that we can scale them to every construction site and that they will be simple to use.
And ultimately that's the tool, but also what takes a big bite of the budgets of to explore these new ideas is the time also invested on them. I suppose is the time that is sometimes not successful. Sometimes it's a trial and error as well.
Yeah.
I'd say. So it just needs to balance out that the good ones are actually outgrowing the failures. That it happens. It's about exploring, and when you explore, sometimes you don't find any. And when it comes to this department, you guys call it VDC? Is that right? VDC?
No, we don't call it a VDC department per se, but you could say that we do VDC work. It's virtual design and construction. So you design in the virtual world, and you kind of experience a lot of the same issues, or you have some of the same questions that you would have if you stood on the construction site and were about to build something. Because if you model something, you need to know where should it be placed, how big is it, what are the materials, what kind of order would you build it in. So you find a lot of the same questions, and then you can ask them to the client or his people, and you find a lot of solutions before you have 40 people on the construction site, and you
proactively. So you identify the process and try to move ahead of it to optimize it.
Yeah.
Let's say optimization is one of the requirements in today's construction. We are really experiencing crazy challenges. We are having a huge lack of or shortage of workers. We are also requested to build faster, to be more efficient during the design stages as well, to be faster, to be better, to prove, like to really show more information to the clients that are requesting more and more and more as well. Like we really need to try and cover all these challenges, and the best way is to challenge the process, challenge what we've been doing in order to actually make it better, which is part of what your department is doing. So VDC would be one of those pieces of the puzzle, one of the many things you guys do. I had to say that in Denmark specifically, and I cannot say for the Nordics, but I would say it will be something similar. It is not unusual to have such a department in the contractor side. Back in the day when I started here in Denmark over a decade ago, there were already contractors that were exploring 3D modeling. They were already not just doing the 3D model, but actually trying to link that to their site execution, to their earthworks, volumes, etc., to try and optimize the quality of the information and faster, so that they will get paid faster as well, right? And try to prove to the clients buildability and so on by modeling and rendering the concepts of what they were working, which to me was interesting, that the contractors were leading innovation when traditionally I was used to see the opposite. Innovation happened what I saw was happening in large corporations in the office, not on site, in the site office with a lot of computers. The picture I had in my head when thinking about the construction site was these containers, shipping containers, where you go in and basically the entire walls are covered in paper drawings, paper maps, paper notes, post-its. And here, we are talking more than 10 years ago, I was stepping into the site office, and there was paper also, which it was still, one of the tools used, but there were many screens everywhere, and the desks were full of screens of people working with screens, not just Excel sheets, but actually, 3D models, and they were, showing their colleagues, so you build this, and they were, showing the 3D model sketch and everything. To me, that was impressive, that the contractors were ahead of the curve of innovation. Mm-hmm. And of course, that has only gone or grow into the scope. Before it was this 3D, now there is way more done on site, and of course in the office as well, but on site, on the contractor side. What type of solutions you guys have explored and succeed over these last years that you could serve to overcome all these challenges that we are experiencing in construction right now?
Well, one of the things that has caught on a lot has been 3D models on site, right? Not just in the office on site, okay, but in the construction pit. So we have.
So you're talking the workers, the ones that are digging, the ones that are building bricks.
Exactly.
They are working with 3D models. All right. Yeah. How?
One example is I think back in 2016, 18. My colleague Michael, he made. Let's start on the construction site. We had a group of workers that had to do an elevator shaft. I think it was 30 meters high or something. And it was made of concrete, and they had to do the reinforcement. So Michael, he modeled all the reinforcement for them because they only had 2D drawings. So he did it in 3D. And it was actually Polish workers, a skilled group of workers. And when they got his 3D model and started using it and building from it, they only wanted that 3D model. They didn't need the drawings anymore. So when
they got the papers, like, put that in the drawer.
put that away. And we just need the 3D model. So it kind of started there, that we saw that, okay, they like this.
They're interested. They're open-minded and willing to change the process.
They just want to understand what they have to build, and they get a really fast understanding through a 3D model. But it has to be correct.
Yeah, of course, but that's the same issue that this is what I repeat again and again. Oh, the 3D model is wrong, but if you printed 2D drawings from the 3D model, then your 2D is also going to be wrong. The difference is that in the 3D, sometimes it's more obvious when something is wrong. Yeah. In the 2D, it might not be so immediately obvious, but you're still building something wrong, right?
Another thing is construction site logistics, also using 3D, because when you and I talk about something like, okay, we're gonna place the crane on the west side. Maybe we have two different ideas of what is the west side. Yeah. So when we model it,
and facing what direction, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When we model it, we all see the same thing. Yeah. Because if you have 10 people in a room and you discuss ideas, 10 people, they will imagine 15 different ideas. So if you got it down on paper or down in model, then you see the same thing.
And sometimes you also realize that if you rotate that crane, it might actually not be possible because it will be crashing against the storage of materials or against the pathway of a
neighboring house or something. Yeah.
That's interesting. So you guys are modeling the site works as well, from what I hear, and that will also mean that if you have different phases or in a time sequence, that also allows you to model the different sequences. Is that correct? All right. Yeah. And you will be able also to saw it, or even to preliminary saw everybody on site. These are the different stages our site work is going to go through. So they are also aware that somewhere else there will be a road, so they don't do something to that site that may affect the construction of that road later on, because they already know that that site will be used for something. All right. Yeah. We were discussing before, you mentioned total stations, and I was very curious to hear what is that about. What is a total station?
A total station. I think
I've
maybe
never heard of
I don't know
it.
if the correct word is a surveying station.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's it called? A machine. It's a piece of kit that all the surveyors use to place like a concrete wall within millimeter accuracy. And we have these simple ones that the construction team can use. So when the actual surveyor, they put up some kind of retro tape or cat eyes, and then the workers, they can just in the morning take out their surveying station, put it up, and it'll measure itself in from all the tapes around, like the known marks, and the station will know where it is located, and then they can start putting out lines for walls, or if they have already placed a wall up, they can mark out where's the window going to be. So they don't have to measure from a line and with a centimeter measurement like before, and that makes it more accurate and also makes their work faster. We're also working with one of these surveying stations that can use a 3D model, so they can just point in the 3D model.
That was gonna be my next question. Like, okay,
Yeah.
if you have that immediate precision, then you could technically connect that, and even the clients could also see where you guys are with the progress in order to issue payments, etc. Right? But
yeah, we actually use another tool for that.
then this total station is a machine that you place on site that could technically, if it was waterproof, could stay there like static.
Yeah, it could. It's actually, they are used also at railworks, railway construction. Place them outside, and then you actually put a watertight box around them, and then they measure if the railways, if they are in the same place. If you have to dig under a railway, we can have the railway sunk down.
Oh, to ensure that there is not compromise in the integrity of the
exactly,
of the
because
railway.
we have running trains. So if one of those would dislocated would hurt a lot of people, and we don't want that. So we want to see if with millimeter accuracy if it moves up or down.
Right. So someone has already put in place my idea. David.
Yeah. But it could be more waterproof. This one measures the same points, so it's just kind of like a cylinder with holes in, and so it can look out in a different direction, not all directions, but just the ones that it need.
So they could technically use this in railways because you are measuring the rail, but it could also be something that clients could use for ensuring, for instance, when you are doing tunnels or metros or the like, placing some in strategic points in the city along the construction of these tunnels, just to ensure that they are not putting in risk or compromising the houses or any of the infrastructure. And
that has been done today, or has been for some time actually.
That's interesting. I've never heard of it, but that sounds like something that actually the surveyors could manage this equipment. But from what I hear, it's becoming so simple, and still getting a precision that would require hours before of calibrating and putting in place, and checking where are you pointing with the laser, etc., in order to draw the lines. That actually is becoming also very accessible technology in the way that very soon surveyors might not be necessary for that task specifically. They will have need to they will manage maybe the equipment and the information they receive from the equipment, but the time-consuming task of operating this equipment is actually being removed from their schedule.
Yeah, you can say that. But they will have data management to do, because that is where the quality assurance lies, that the wall is actually placed correctly.
No one passed and kick a little the machine and suddenly it's pointing on the wrong direction. Another risk of site works. A lot of people involved, and when you need precision, things should not be moved. Correct.
That's right. Yeah, that's critical.
Yeah, I heard that's an issue, a common issue on drones as well, making people aware that the drone is reading a point and you cannot put your backpack on top of it because it doesn't read the point of reference for the drone anymore. Yeah. You guys work with drones, and when you bring the technology to site, there is a lot of work happening in the office. All these 3D models, etc. I presume from where I hear this team of skilled workers building reinforcement, they will have their own tablets, etc. But I'm also aware that you guys bring a lot of information to the site, to an information point, so that everybody is also aware of what is going on and they can check what's happening and they can check a lot of pieces of information. What is this information point?
So it's basically a computer in their container that is close to the point of work, where they can go in and they can look at the 3D model. They can get information on what is the name of the reinforcement that they should be using next. And we're not all that digital all the time because we also have a printer. So they could print out a screenshot of the reinforcement that they can take out directly if it's raining or anything. Then tablets are not that good. But it's a point close to their work site. A computer that can access the 3D model.
To make it accessible, so they don't need to go to the office, switch on the computer, try to find what is the latest version of the file. I need to print with a lot of risk that comes with, and print the right one, the very last absolute design after the last 20th change order happening on site. They have that accessible straight away.
Yeah. Another
thing you guys do on site is try to be more efficient on the energy the site consumes.
Yeah.
This is very important, especially now that the regulations are getting more and more strict. They are requiring to sort the waste in a more precise and strict way. So everything needs to be sorted. That requires much more space on site for different containers and for processing all this waste in the right way. It also requires that the energy consumed during the execution, it's a small portion of the entire life cycle of a building, but when it comes to make the entire energy consumption more efficient, every piece counts, right? And if it's 1 or 2 years of execution, that's some time of very heavy machinery and a lot of people living half of the day or 8 hours in the building as well. So they are consuming energy. And how do you guys actually measure this and assess this in order to focus on where is the most energy being drained, and if it could actually be efficiently optimized without compromising the works that are going on?
Yeah, we can talk a bit about that. That initiative started actually in our building department with an awesome guy that's called Lars. He created the groundworks for this. He calls it the digital construction site. And we utilize this in infrastructure projects as well. And we put sensors on, what's it called, the electricity cabinets, like the
electrical
cables.
Panels? Or...
Yeah, so all the electricity that goes to the construction site is being measured, and it's being measured where it goes to, if it's directly on the construction site, or it's to the office, or if it's to the containers, or to the cranes. And it's being measured in real time all the time. So we can see how much energy we use for electricity. And it's
and heating, because I also want to bring this to everybody's attention listening. In Denmark, there is a lot of care for the workers and the environment of the workers working on site. So in many instances, the site works are actually heated to ensure that the temperature is acceptable and nice for performing the work during 8 hours a day.
Yeah, that is correct. One of the things that these data needs to be presented and used. So Lars has made a dashboard where you can follow how much energy each place on the construction site is using. And he discovered one thing, that a lot of energy, most of the energy actually, 60% or 70% was being used when there was no people on site.
Okay, so standby
standby
machines,
heat, and cranes actually use a lot of power even when they are turned off.
Why? Just in case they need this emergency, in case there is a lot of wind, they need to retract themselves
We
to
actually
safety,
haven't been able to get a real answer, but one of the answers is that there is some kind of capacitor and that the electricity to control the crane is standing by some to measure. I don't know if it's if there's too much wind or maybe if it's too cold or something. We haven't discovered that yet. But we discovered that the construction offices, they used a lot of energy at night. And
either they work too late or they leave the lights on.
if only that. Yeah, but it was when no one was there. Yeah, and also the containers for all the tools, they also consumed a lot of energy at night. So we thought, okay, can we turn it off? Like when a couple of hours after people go home, and maybe turn it on a couple of hours before.
And
they
this is what happens if someone complains that their car was not charged during the night or something, or let's switch it off and see what happens.
We tried to switch it off and see what happened.
Okay.
We talked
as a test.
As a test, and we talked to some people, and we decided to try and switch it off for 8 hours at night.
Okay.
And we measured the temperature in the sheds, in the construction offices at night and in the winter.
To monitor the drop.
And we experienced a drop from about 22 degrees to 14 degrees when it was minus 10 outside.
But that's also not so common. Like minus 10 degrees is not something that happens every night. So it will be a very short period
but
during the year.
This is where most energy is consumed, is when it's cold in the winter months. So it was kind of critical for the project that we measured in that time. And also if you turn it off in that time, in the winter when it's minus 10, that is where most energy is saved. So that was kind of acceptable. And then we used a bit of power to get them up to 22 degrees
an
again.
Acceptable temperature in the morning. Yeah, because minus for not minus, but 14 degrees to start in the office and start typing it, you really need the gloves on.
Yeah, that's
it's
not
too
good.
cold.
The mission was that the workers they shouldn't actually know, because if all was as it normally was, they had no different experience, and that was a success then. But we found out that someone asked about the refrigerators and their food and their milk, and what about the ice they had in the freezer. So they got sour milk and long ice creams because they melted a little every night. So that was not good. And we measured in the temperature in the fridges, and it rose to 12 degrees during that period. So that was a no-go. We then decided, okay, what can we do? We can maybe turn it off for half an hour in the middle of the 8 hours. And then the temperature rose to 7-8 degrees, and then it went back down, and then again rose to 7-8 degrees. So we decided, okay, we can live with this for a period of time. And today, of course, you have what's it called, heat pumps. Yes. That has they lower the temperature at night, and the fridges, they just take care of themselves. Yeah.
This is, of course, something that you were mentioning before. Is part of the anticipating or lessons learned, understanding what is your standard process, and then learning from the real experiences of applying that process, and proactively try and improve that on the next project. So this would be one of those, right? So like, I presume that planning ahead of that, it would also be possible to create different connections for the different to sectorize the electrical supply, so that you could actually connect the fridges or those elements that need to be on during the night to some electrical line, and then everything else to the rest of the line. So you could select what you want on and what you want off, and for how long each of these lines should be off. It's not that difficult, and as you say, like it's a very accessible technology nowadays to have timers on switchers and things like that, or even remotely activate them or deactivate them, or have sensors to identify, oh, tonight we have a weather station on site, and as soon as it starts dropping below -5, then switch on the heating, so that tomorrow the temperature is acceptable. So it's not like before that everything was programmed. You switch off from here to here, and then, if it was too cold tonight, but like tomorrow morning, it's like nowadays these processes are dynamic and don't require someone behind to manipulate them, because we could automate all as long as we have an internet of things, and as long as things are programmed together and connected. And all this also requires someone to understand these needs and set it up without really going to a massive project of programming, because we are talking of we're talking of logical conditions, very simple programming scripts, right? Where you go and say, if temperature from this sensor is X, then do this with these 3 sensors, but not if this and that. And I can always overwrite manually if necessary for certain period of dates or something, right? Yeah. Are you guys able to do this, or how do you handle all these type of requests? That today with AI, I think is very accessible. It requires some basic knowledge or notion of what this logic might look like, and then a simple prompt to the AI to actually generate these type of scripts. Have you guys used this process on any applicable scenarios?
Yeah, we have done that. We have one member of the team that actually actively uses this, and he talks to the program. So it's there's a lot of them now that can actually just you talk to them, and then it codes, and it also installs all the required protocols automatically. You have to accept that it does it, and but it can do it automatically.
It guides you through what is necessary, basically.
Yeah, everything. So he talks to it like it's a colleague, like it's a programming colleague that he wants to do something. So I want a program that can transform this drawing from one coordinate system to another coordinate system.
Very important and time consuming.
Exactly. And it can do that in like 10 minutes. He has a program, and he can try and verify that it works. It can also be used for more advanced work. He's using it to actually communicate with our GPSs. What's it called? A GPS unit. He can talk to it via a program, so we can create our own systems that rely on GPS. I don't think I can say much more about it right now, but that is something that he is working on.
Yeah,
and he's using AI to code, because like a programmer costs maybe 1,800 an hour, and he could get a long way on his own. And then maybe we need a real programmer to refine it, but he can get the MVP,
the most concept
project. Yeah, the concept he can create
to
himself.
Test if it's actually feasible and if it's a go ahead, and then it's just a matter of having the basis to sell it or to understand what could be the scope of works and the budget to try and implement that in the next project as a pilot.
Exactly.
So what I hear is that you guys are not only a team of 6 people, you guys are a team of infinite specialists by relying on these AI companions that actually you can consider them agents or assistants that provide you with the skills that you may not know. You just need the talent of these 6 people to know how to use these tools and how to request what they need, at least to get a little initiated on the process and the initiatives. I've also heard that you create your own podcasts. I don't know if you feel okay talking about that.
Our own podcast.
Your own podcast.
Oh, yeah. Okay. For myself. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for yourself. But that's I found that very interesting approach because that could be done as a personal level for personal growth or personal learning topics, etc. When you don't have time, we don't have time today. We have so many things to do, and sometimes an easy way is just to get that information fed to you in an engaging way. And also I was thinking that that's actually something that could be applied for the team in general, like when you need to transfer knowledge about a topic, about a new protocol, about a new policy, about a new process, like, okay, now we have this information booth, or now we have these 3D drawings that you can use instead of so every time you change the process, that needs to be communicated, and everybody on site needs to understand what is going on. So I was thinking that could be a very cool way to actually, rather than throwing at them a PowerPoint of 20 minutes and then a questionnaire after, or sending them even worse an email or a Word file that they need to read and assume that they understood and went through it. What if that was communicated through podcasts?
Yeah.
So
you could
how do you get there? How do you create your own podcast?
Well, I do it. A lot of these different AIs like ChatGPT or Copilot or Google Gemini, they have what's called deep research or researcher, and you can ask it about like a company or a specific subject. If I go to a meeting with a supplier, a new supplier that wants to present something, then I ask deep research to investigate this company and tell me what they do. And it does all that. Maybe it takes 10 minutes. And then I take the text and I put it into the one I have used right now is Notebook LM. And you put the text in there and you ask it to make a podcast. And it will make you a 5 or 10 minute podcast on the subject. And you could listen to that in the car or when you commute.
That sounds like a great idea. Like, I'm thinking of many ways of actually utilize that and put that in practice. Like, what can I use drones on site for? And then just to get a research of everything that is out there, and then hearing, and maybe you guys are doing 85% of it, but that 15% piece that can make a big impact on the entire process for this topic, but many other topics out there. I think it's very important to have innovation and reapply the technology that is done in other industries in our line of work, but also it helps when you get inspired by ideas of someone else's successes,
exactly, yeah.
Right? It's easier, definitely. It's more motivational when you are not always trying and error. It's like if you go straight away to something that is done out there, it's very exhausting to be thinking always of how to reinvent the wheel. It's a great help to actually hear what others are doing. I think this podcast is great for that, because we bring great minds like you, Casper, and your team, and all the work they are doing. And thank you very much for sharing that as well with everybody, so they can also get inspired of things that are successful and they can be applied straight away on their work and on the processes. It really helps. It saves you all the research side of things.
You have to address AI like a colleague. So if you want a colleague to do, or an employee, if you want an employee to do some kind of task, you have to describe the task, describe what they are supposed to do and what outcome you expect. And it's exactly the same with AI. Most people, they ask AI for something basic. They put in some documents and they say, give me a resume. And you get some kind of resume. But maybe you want them to read like a project, a construction project, and you want a resume based on the law, or what kind of contractual obligations are in the documents, and you need to address that. So read these documents with a focus on contractual obligations, and give me a resume and give me the most critical subjects that I need to be aware of, something like that. That is one way of doing it. You can also, that's like a Copilot way of using it. So you ask it to do something and it goes and does it and delivers you something back.
And I've often heard poor feedback of these results. Yeah. But it's the same as if you explain that basic request to a colleague and then you don't get what you expected, and then you provide poor feedback. Then maybe the issue is on how it was requested and what was requested. So the way you will react to that material or that delivery that is not up to expectations is actually align them and say, actually, this is not what I wanted. I wanted a report, or I wanted a presentation that is more simplified so that I can present to the client. This is too detailed. So you will kind of react back to that.
Yeah, you'll do iterations of it.
And actually clarify a little better what is not matching your expectation. So I think that will be a similar process, right? You don't get what you want, with the difference being that when you get that work from your colleague, maybe it's 2 days after you requested it. So a long time has passed. Now you are under pressure. Now you need that person to redo the work that is not matching your expectation. You still need to deliver. So a lot of pressure when we are talking this AI is actually a matter of seconds. So you lose nothing by requesting it again in a more adequate way or in a more specific way. What is what you expected, right? And it's just a matter of seconds.
Sometimes. Yeah,
yeah.
unless
it costs you less.
Research.
It costs you less to be bad at requesting than it will cost you to have the same process with a colleague, because of the time invested in from the person. Their motivation also is killed. AI, well, for now it doesn't have feelings, so it's not hard if you tell it it's not what I wanted, please redo.
Yeah, but if you just say please redo, then you'll get something still you don't want. Yeah, so actually you should use the same time you would as explaining it to a colleague.
Yeah. Indeed, yeah. And even though you are not gonna create frustration on the AI by saying that's not what I expected, still try to be as precise as possible at the beginning.
Yeah, if you want an Excel sheet with 10 different columns, then say that and say what it should be, all the different columns. But that's one thing. Then you can use it as a co-thinker. That is actually something.
Okay.
I met a person from Harvard Business Review. He made like this long document with prompts, and it could be something like, okay, I have this problem and I will apply this method. Like there's a lot of different problem solving methods, like the Ishikawa model or something. And you can actually put in a prompt to AI and say, I want to go through this process. And then you have like maybe 5 or 10 steps, and you describe each step, and then tell it to stop each time and wait for your input before commencing to the next step. And it will take you through this process. And that's kind of using it as a co-thinker. You can also use, there's a lot of them, ChatGPT has one voice mode where you can talk to it like you do a person. So you can do it in the car.
So you're running your ideas or telling your miseries.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have something like a presentation you need to do, you can do it on your commute. You can talk to it in the car. And the text will be ready when you get to the office. I saw one former colleague I had on LinkedIn. He actually did some programming on the fly. He had to go from one side of the country to the other and had I think 4-hour commute. And he talked to AI the whole way, and every time he had to do a stop, he would take what he got and put it into like this coding agent, and when he arrived, he had like 80% of a working app.
I'm pretty sure he did more stops than normal just to feed it. Yeah, he was having the notification blink. Okay, time to stop. Yeah. It finished coding for me.
Yeah, but you could have to do
drive safe though.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But I think the technology is there. It's about how we utilize and having this initiative to actually use it. So it's the opportunities are endless. And as you say, it's about knowing how to prompt and how to use it for your expected outcome. We are using in KOSMOS recently. We are gonna launch also some sort of, it's not an academy, it's like a small bites of suggestions or use cases applied to our line of work of how to use AI for that. So there is a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas and a lot of initiatives, and the idea is to try and share that with the rest of the team as well, to spark that curiosity and that initiative as well from everybody, because we don't want to miss any of those ideas. And one of the latest prompts that we've shared is, we are all back from vacation now, and we all had the time to think and to rest and to put our minds aside, which also leads to ideas. When you step back and look at what you do from a different perspective, a more calm and relaxing approach, you get a lot of ideas. And also you get to challenge, and you get to realize what you don't like and what you like to do differently, or, basically challenge the way we work. So this prompt was about capturing all these ideas that we've had from the summer, one by one, frame them, ask it to also challenge them and see constraints why this idea won't work. So things that we may not be objectively seeing from our perspective, and maybe ask this companion to challenge us, right, to strengthen the idea. And the last part of the prompt was about shaping the idea in a way that we could share that with our team. Because different audience or different team members, you don't want to throw them like very long paragraphs with all the outcome that you just got from AI. And ideally, you don't want to rewrite it either, because why to do that if, your companion can do that for you? So basically, get all the pieces of this idea that you will need to make the idea strong, including how this idea will be presented or shared with my colleagues for future brainstorming, or hear their thoughts, or even their, do they see any constraints that the AI didn't? But my colleagues are experts and specialists on the field, so they might come with hidden obstacles, or even improve that idea from their own perspective. Thank you very much, Casper, for accepting the invite to share all this great work and all these initiatives that you guys are working with. Very insightful. I learned a lot, and I was not aware of some of the things you guys are doing that I think are impressive, and hopefully the audience also finds them quite inspiring, and we get to upgrade and upskill the construction processes thanks to you guys and the leading initiatives that you guys are putting in place. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks very much for listening. There's a LinkedIn link below in the show notes. We would love to connect with you.
We hope you enjoyed it and have you with us in the next one. Thank you very much.